Gamer girl finds a hotter guy after being dumped by her boyfriend for someone else. We are in for a bumpy ride. Now, I'm gonna ask you, how long do you think it's gonna take for him to dump her? How long? Maybe an episode? 2, perhaps? Turns out, not even a minute! Look at her, she's so cute. Why would you frickin' dump that? He's either like a super Chad for doing that, or really dumb. So this great gentleman here is Takuma, who mentions how he's found someone new. A girl that he likes, so he cannot continue with his current girlfriend, Kinoshita, because he just doesn't like her anymore. Ah, so he was dumb. That's based. Of course he would say that. Baby, you know it. She goes on to talk about her breakup with Momoko, who's just shocked to know that she lost her boyfriend to a girl online. Ha! She finds it hard to believe that something like that would happen in a game. I just want to know if Takuma dumped her just based on how he talked with this new girl. If he dumped his girlfriend for someone anonymous, that's a huge loss for him. That girl could be a 58-year-old man in Idaho. She had expected something like this to happen since he had been throwing her cold texts for a while now. Amen. That's how it always happens. Even she finds it hard to believe that he would dump her over someone he met online. The best moral support Momoko can give her is, don't be sad, I gotta go. And she just goes. That's... Thanks, Momoko. You're a real friend. She thinks about the brief words Momoko left her with, which is true. I mean, she can't forever sulk about a breakup. Just one breakup, move on, you know? Time. Not that easy. She goes on to check just how serious Takuma was about this breakup. She goes on to open up Boss, the game that they played together, and sees that he's no longer on her friends list. Oh, no! Takuma sure had a plan here. He knew exactly what he was going to do, and the sequence in which he was going to do it. She feels a bit irritated about it since she bought a lot of in-game items at his insistence, and none of that matters now since the person she played with is gone. She takes out her frustrations in the game as her character goes berserk on the NPCs. A guildmate named Yamada, who has the most bizarre-looking avatar, just stares at her losing her cool. What a Chad. She's nice to him and tries to make some small talk. Her initial text is met with a simple hello, and the second question is met with another one-word reply. He does talk about rare items that you can find in-game, which makes her appreciate how hardcore he is about gaming life. She replies back with the most factual response as she tells him that she's simply there to divert herself. She just went through a tough breakup. She continues to rant about what a twat Takuma is, which he isn't because the guy was super honest. Ugh. Yamada couldn't care less about what she had to say about her boyfriend. He just wants to know if she can let him have her hunting ground. Kinoshita, who at first glance looks like that nice person who would say yes to just about anything, goes rampant on the chat. She takes a moment to think if she went too far, but then Yamada replies that he isn't interested to know, which sets her off even more. Before she logs out of the game, they send out a notification regarding an event happening nearby for their players. She thinks about Takuma and how he could be attending the event with his new girl, which in my opinion is no reason why she shouldn't go. Gotta make things awkward for him while you can, right? Be butthurt. She goes shopping with Momoko and decides to take her to the event as well. Her aim is to make Takuma regret his decision. Yeah, okay, maybe she shouldn't go. Her plan is to make him see how pretty she has become, so of course going to a spa is a must. The event is packed with a lot of people. It's hard to believe all of them played the same game. She hears a girl say Takuma and turns back to see that it's really him with another woman, a brunette in a red dress. No, the red dress! She rushes to talk but trips and falls down as everyone momentarily stops to look at her. You can't describe how embarrassing that moment is. It's embarrassing enough for her to wish that she didn't exist. A dude comes by to help her up, but not really. He just has a sandal in his hands. She notices how hot he is and quickly picks herself up. The way he talks is very similar. She'd seen it somewhere before, and it's exactly like Yamada. She calls out to him, and yes, this super hot dude is the gamer geek named Yamada. Big shocker. Takuma somehow turns back and sees the two just standing. Kinoshita knows that this is her opportunity to look as dazzling as she can, but he doesn't care. All he cares for is the pro gamer Yamada. Is that Ninja? That's Ninja.
Okay, that was weird. What was that smoker one?
Apparently, he's someone super important in the gaming community, and guys are big fans of him. Takuma's no exception. This is a chance, though. This is her big chance. She goes near Yamada, clings to his hand, and makes it look as if they are on a date. She takes the risk and introduces Yamada as her new boyfriend, which he immediately disagrees with. Get faked! She begs him and even hands him a pin code to the Prophet Stone, the rarest item in boss. Yamada switches in an instant, and he is indeed her boyfriend. He ain't no simp. He's a nerd. Takuma falls to his knees and starts to cry, which might heal Kinoshita temporarily, but seeing his girlfriend Eddie be so kind to him is hurtful at the same time. Somehow the two of them end up having drinks, and her mood is as low as it can get. He doesn't want to be there and constantly asks her if he can go home, while she tries to barely keep him there so she can have some company. They once again talk about how her life has been ruined by her ex-boyfriend, who has now found a super cute partner. Yamada, to this point, had no idea that he was actually sitting across from the same rude person he met online. Her whole scheme was to make him regret his decision, but seeing him happy like that resulted in her defeat. He looks at how sad and pathetic she looks and decides to stay and give her some company. She switches back to her normal self and wants to know more about what a pro gamer is. I'm so glad you asked.
Oh no, no! You flipped the pro gamer switch!
It's a completely new concept for her. Of course it would be. She never thought you would get paid for playing games. That's what they all say. And they all end up getting proven wrong by my skill.
Someone turn it off!
He explains how Foss is just a secondary game he plays to pass the time. I'm not normally this good at what I do. I don't have to try.
Dear heavens, make it stop!
He mostly makes his money from playing FPSs. You think I chose this life? The gamers chose me!
Ah!
Her instant reaction is that Yamada's a
it's over.
super loner who hasn't had a girlfriend yet. Which is true. He admits that he hasn't. He knows that he's hot and all, and he could probably get a partner if he really wanted to, but in classic Yamada fashion, he ain't interested. Gaming is all there is to his life, and he doesn't want to think about anything else. So he's an alpha gamer, huh? Oh, I know a little something about that myself.
No, you don't! You don't game! You'll never be like them! No, don't you start laughing!
Just another hater.
Oh, come on!
Seeing him talk about romance in such a bleak manner takes her back to her bleak romantic life. She goes to the bathroom to let out a good cry and comes back thinking if going to that event was a mistake. It was.
Waking up this morning was a mistake.
She comes back to see that he ain't there anymore. It's just his cola that's not even finished yet. She's not surprised though. He did seem and act like a cold person. Even though she says that, her eyes fill with tears. And when he calls out to her, all he can see is her clown face about to burst in sorrow. He only went out to get some band-aids since her feet were bleeding and he couldn't stand looking at them. They decide to spend the entire night drinking her sorrows away, only for her to wake up in his room naked!
Oh, yes! Yes! Hallelujah! There is hope!
She wakes up naked in his room! If this is combined with the first part, that line means nothing. But if this is its own episode, then boy, did we start off with a banger!
That's all we do, man! That's all we do around here! We keep banging these out! We banging!
Banging! But yeah, no, that's actually what happened. She wakes up in his room and he seems not to care. He's just invested in his gaming. Oh, never mind. I was wrong about her being naked.
How do you get that wrong?
It's not my fault, man. They were super trying to make it seem like that.
Well, you know what they say about assuming.
Joke's on you. I eat ass.
Huh?
Donkeys are really good meat.
No, you can't backpedal like that.
Just did. She's completely
Oh, you
hungover,
keep
and as
getting
Yamada
away
walks up
with
to her,
this!
she falls from her bed thinking that she might have been a part of a one-night stand. I mean, he looks like the last person on Earth that is capable of doing something like that, so I don't think she needs to worry too much there. He didn't have much of a choice. He could either leave her on the road or take her to his place since he didn't know where she lived. She tries to apologize, but he simply tells her to leave, and that'll do it for him. This guy really only cares about his games. He can at least ask her for breakfast. She agrees to leave right that instant, and it's already embarrassing for her to stay there. It gets even worse when he mentions where he has her hung puke-covered clothes. Oh, and it's not just that. The bill was also paid by him, and she probably drank enough to empty his frackin' wallet. With everything sorted, he sends her on her merry way. Kinoshita reflects on what she had done, and none of what she did is going to make her proud. Not only did she just lose to Takuma, but she also had to spend the night in the place of a man who she just met, all thanks to the choices that she had made. She returns home and notices that the necklace that she is wearing was missing. She searches for her place upside down, but fails to find it anywhere. The only logical explanation is that she dropped it at Yamada's place. She goes into Foss to ask him about it, but gets distracted by a fellow player, Rudy Hime, also known as Rudy. Yamada is still offline though, so it doesn't matter. She suspects that she might have dropped it while puking and got mixed up when Yamada cleaned her clothes. It matters to her so much because that necklace is the first gift that she had received from Takuma. There was no one to talk to in these trying times, and so she has to turn to the guildmaster Rui, who is there to console literally everyone in the guild. She tells her everything about her necklace being dumped by good old Takuma, and Yamada arrives before she can get a proper opinion from Rui. All they can say is hello. He completely ignores what Kinoshita had to say and simply focuses on Rui. She even sends him a private message, which he's not interested in. He just wants to beat a boss and get the guild storage sorted out. out. He's particularly pissed off about the guild storage as someone who's been messing with it daily, even though he manages it. Kinoshita doesn't know what they're talking about and casually mentions how she's the one doing it out of goodwill. Yamada calls her equipment trash. This guy is never going to get a female. He even tells her to be more selective with what she keeps there. All while Ruri is trying to calm him down. Yamada in real life steps out of his chair and then onto something sharp. He takes off his foot to see that it's a necklace, which is now broken. She's still dreaming of Takuma, which immediately turns into a nightmare when Eri pops up out of the present that he hands her. She shares this experience with Momoko, who tells how these Takuma stories are starting to get old. I'm starting to wonder if she's in good company. This girl hasn't once been emotionally useful. She's more interested to know about the nerd gamer, which is a name she won't repeat once she sees him in real life. She brings up the necklace and how she might have dropped it at his place, to which Momoko gives her a reality check. She has nothing to do with it anymore. She returns home thinking about going back to Foss, and it's been some time since she last logged in. She sees two high school girls confessing to a dude and calls him Mr. Popular, only to listen to his voice and realize that it is the only Mr. Popular that she knows. His rejection is as cold as it can possibly get. It is time for the boss to spawn, and they are getting in his way. Kinoshita was not going to let this go so easily. She scolds him for being so inconsiderate. He should have at least heard them out. This guy, on the other hand, didn't even know that they were confessing to him. She also notices that he has a Tosei Academy uniform, which means that he is a high school student. That school is only for bona fide nerds. So she gets the idea that this guy is smart too. He then says how he's been wanting to see her again, which puts her in a great mood. Only for it to be ruined instantly as he presents her with a broken necklace. The broken necklace. He could have lied about the damage, but he tells her the truth about stepping on it. Kinoshita looks at the heart, which is broken into two pieces, and decides to keep her feelings to herself. She thanks him for bringing it to her and goes off in the rain. He doesn't let her walk without an umbrella and lends one to her for free. It adds a ton of value when you see him running off in the rain instead. Come on, girl. He gave that to you so that you could use it, so use it. She lays down in her room with the necklace in her hand, still thinking about her good times with Takuma. A bunch of delivery packages are sent to her place. They just barge in without even checking if a person is there. Her mother sent all of her things back from their main house for who knows what frackin' reason. What a cruel mother, though. She didn't even call once. She calls Momoko to take care of it with her, and the first thing she says is to throw everything away. She starts with a huge teddy bear, and by the end of the day, her room looks speakly clean. Speakly? Roll with it. Of all the things that she could find last, she found the broken necklace, and Yamada's umbrella on hand. Since both of them are cluttered, she asks Kinoshita if she would throw one and keep the other. I can't imagine how much space the necklace should be taking for them to consider throwing it away to make room. He remembers Yamada's words about being more selective with her things, and Momoko is right about the necklace being pretty much useless. As such, she makes the right choice for herself and throws all the dumps away, including the necklace, I presume, because they don't really show it. To celebrate her triumph, the girls hit the bar once again to get some drinks. They get wasted beyond saving. Kinoshita has his umbrella in her hands and the goofiest expression on her face. Even in a state like this, she genuinely went there to thank him for everything he had done. Yamada's place. She went to Yamada's place. Oh, the dude asks her to come back to the game too. What a nerdy way of showing his concern. Although he could have said that he wants to see her back and not use Ruri as an excuse. Yamada has finally started to open up a little. Even though the most he did was ask her to come back to Foss, they even had to get super drunk and vulnerable to get that much consideration out of him. Can't wait to see when this dude will finally say something that doesn't sound alien.
Can't wait to hear what you normally sound like.
Kinoshita is amidst a group of acquaintances, one of which asks if she doesn't have a boyfriend yet. This dude, who looks like a character straight out of a cheap hentai manga, thinks that perhaps he has a shot at her. Well, his shot is letting her know how he could be a good catch. That's step one on how to be rejected. She asks if she was just bothered by his stupid proposal, but then she looks at her friend Momoko with the most dubious expression ever. They communicate via dumb expressions where Kinoshita's making it clear that she wants to go home, whereas Momoko wants her to stay and enjoy herself since the whole double date was for her. H-Man, that's what I'm gonna call this dude from now on, continues his quest on trying to impress Kinoshita. He insists on knowing what game she's so hooked on. He makes it seem like he might know a lot about it, but he doesn't, and it shows. Momoko's not very stoked about her behavior there. She even asks if she's even serious about her relationship, and if not, why even bother setting up a double date like that? Kinoshita, on the other hand, has only one worry: the game she plays and the friends she makes there. She's so clueless about the type of people online that she gives her number to a random girl named Ruri, who might as well be a zebra for all we know. Momoko plants this idea that this online friend of hers could possibly be a creepy old man, which makes Kinoshita think. She goes back home excited that she'll be able to play Foss to her heart's content, but there's a moment of shame where she contemplates her interests. The fact that she'd rather stay home and play games over doing a double date. However, things are set for Kinoshita. She doesn't have the time or energy for romance. We see a list of her friends and their avatars while she's online. Ruri is there as expected, and so is Yamada, the one in the title. He's probably the poster boy too. We'll see. Ruri and Yamada's avatar are minding their own businesses, and Kinoshita wonders if they're not aware of her presence. I'm sure they're aware, but are choosing to ignore you. You can't tell me that the game doesn't have a system where the player's alerted over a new arrival. It doesn't matter if they're aware though. Ruri stays back and eavesdrops on the conversation only for Yamada to say that things were easier when it was just the two of them. She sees them get along so well and feels as if she'd be ruining their moment with her interference. As soon as Akane, Kinishida's avatar, is noticed, Ruri welcomes her and Yamada leaves. She's got to take the hint here. He clearly doesn't like her. How could you just leave as soon as she arrives? Given how Yamada likes to keep to himself and gives the same treatment to anyone who isn't Ruri, she doesn't take it too badly on herself. This does raise doubt in her that these two could be dating or in a deeper relationship or something like that. Thinking about everything she does in the game and in her life in general, she can't help but feel depressed. Wow, she's really thinking hard about those two being a thing. That's all she's thinking about. That little moment got into her head so badly that she starts to search for social media accounts of Yamada. Does she not realize that they're fracking game buddies and they don't know anything about each other at all? Is it like thinking hard about the username FreeAngel887 on CSGO, which everyone knows is either an 8-year-old kid or a 40-year-old man? H-Man from the group chat calls out to her just as she's about to walk home. This time he's come prepared. He knows about Foss and even tried it for himself. He wants to make that a baseline to win her heart, but it's quickly backtracked when she starts to talk about Yamada, who's apparently a pro gamer too. Even with that much said, H-Man continues to persuade her to the point where Kinoshita starts to feel irritated. He still keeps up a poker face and holds a conversation so that he doesn't feel offended by her actual thoughts. A cute girl in a bunny jacket passes by her and Kinoshita recognizes her. She's seen her somewhere before. She hops her way to a person which is none other than our snowman Yamada. They walk together with the girl clinging to his jacket like a child. She does seem like a child, so yeah, there's that. Kinoshita remembers what he said about not having a girlfriend, which seems like a big fat lie right now. She isn't surprised though. A hot guy like Yamada having a girlfriend or two isn't something otherworldly. H-Man gets ditched midway. Poor guy who's only trying to make conversation. Kinoshita yet again feels rattled about someone else's choices. This time it's Yamada and the child. She can't focus on her book and looks over the laptop with no intention of logging in. She gets a text from Ruri who asks her if she saw the Foss news. The game is opening a collaborative cafe nearby and Ruri wants to check it out with her. She also mentions how she ran into Yamada and he's joining too, along with the other guild members. Kinoshita wonders if the childish girl she saw earlier is actually Ruri. She could be right though. She could be right though. She does seem like someone who'd have a Ruri personality. Ruri insists that Kinoshita joins her, but she can't help but remember the two of them walking together. Despite that, she accepts her invitation, which, wow, it was the very next day. Talking about a big surprise. She prepares herself like usual and chooses the most bland outfit, which somehow makes sense too. She consistently texts Ruri on her way, and Ruri is excited to finally see some of the guild members in real life. She also mentions how she'll be with Yamada most of the time, which I don't know why you gotta make it seem like that. I thought it was gonna be a group meeting. Kinoshita doesn't let that bother her. She just wants to go and have some fun. She gets to the location and can't quite make out where she's supposed to be. A dude randomly crashes into her, and while picking up her phone, he sees that she's there for the Foss event. Their hair colors are so identical that I can't imagine a romance developing between them. They just look too much like siblings. Still, the dude is hot, and Kinoshita doesn't mind walking with him to the event. He turns out to be more of a nerd than anyone she'd ever met. The guy is in love with Foss. This does clear out his suspicion that he could be a shady dude. At least he got that going for him. They finally reach the place, and Ruri is there with Yamada. She rushes to greet him as soon as she spots him behind Ruri. Both the new dude and Ruri see her leaping like a frickin' kangaroo. Ruri grabs his arm and gives her a cold stare as if she was marking her territory. She asks Eita about this weird girl that's talking to Yamada, and he clarifies to her that this is Kinoshita. I guess Ruri only knows how to keep her nice personality alive online. So Kinoshita got called up by her online friends for an offline meetup. A cafe collaborated with their game to create an event related to Foss. She met a handsome guy on the way who also happens to be a player heading in the same direction. Of course, she knows Yamada, who's already there. As for this little girl, she's just too obvious of a choice to be Ruri. Eita finds himself completely comfortable inside the cafe. A lot of people already know him, and he's getting along quite well. They all share the same desk where Kinoshita knows Yamada. She assumes the little child to be Ruri. As for Eita and this old man, she has no idea who they are or what their usernames are, so who cares, right? Ruri tells her that Eita is talking with Mr. Kamota. She also clarifies that Ruri is not her character. Kinoshita is surprised because if Ruri is amongst them, it can only be Eita then. Or the old man. The old man doesn't really speak Ruri from any direction, though. The little girl also wants to know who Kinoshita is in the game. She's not very stoked about having her too, and certainly not a person that welcomes newcomers. Yamada listens to all of this and decides to provide subtle help. He wants to do introductions before they order anything. So Eita, 19 years of age, is the one that plays Ruri in the game. In other words, the cute and caring guildmaster they all imagined is a grown man. Also, he doesn't seem to be bothered by the fact that he's posing as a woman online. He's actually quite proud of it, the way he describes himself and his life as Ruri with such enthusiasm. That's quite a rant he went on. Even the old man had to call him to take a break. Kinoshita is shocked, but then remembers that she shared some sensitive information with him, thinking that he was a woman. I guess her rage is justifiable. She did talk to him about about the entire breakup and how she felt inside, with a conscious reminder that Ruri is a girl that she can reach out to. Turns out that she is just as male as one can be. He defends his case by claiming that his own personality and Ruri's are different. He treats himself and her as two different people. The little girl that everyone thought was Ruri is Eita's younger sister, Runa. She's also the model for Rurihime. Wait, so he made a character whilst thinking about his younger sister and pretends to act like her in a game? Okay. Even she finds it creepy. I'm not sure I'm on board with the character of Eita. This clears her doubts about Yamada and Ruri having an affair. I mean, they could still have one, not like we can rule out that possibility yet. Yamada explains that Eita was a senior in high school, and he also dives really deep into the character of Ruri. She is so pumped by the news of Ruri not being his girlfriend that she accidentally tells him how glad she is about his single status. Runa picks up on it and asks what exactly she meant by being glad, and then asks her if she's in love with Yamada. Eita tries to cover it up with a very confrontational reason that his sister just asked, but Kinoshita doesn't mind. They all waver off and move on to ordering what they want to eat, but Kinoshita starts to think about it. Just enjoy your meal and go home! It's especially not helpful when she notices Yamada staring at her as if he wants to know the answer. His gaze is enough for her to drop her glass. I guess that answered his question then. She kneels down to clean it up, but big boy Yamada does it instead, fearing that she'll hurt herself. I mean, you can hurt yourself too, man. Or is your skin made up of a different organic material? She stays there with her face hidden, completely embarrassed, with her face turning red. Yamada reads the room and helps himself to the bathroom, after which she can finally lift herself up. Kamata is there for some emotional support, making sure everything is all right with her. His soft words and charm is enough to put her into a good mood right away. He begins to talk about the group of four Kinoshita. They've known each other long before Foss, and only started to play the game after Eita asked them to. Rura still has a mean face as she stares at Kinoshita. I suppose she likes Yamada too. Yamada's outside the cafe after his little lie to get out. Eita's there with him and asks him what happened. He knew that he had to get out of there to make Kinoshita feel better, or at least have herself composed. Eita sees what's going on and proceeds to tease him for being the way he is. A loner. Yamada found it hard to cope with her because she thought she wouldn't be like her online character, but that's exactly what she sounds like. Eita explains to him that it's not the case and Kinoshita's actually different, but Yamada has no experience to tell the difference. Nothing much happens from there. The meetup is over and Eita says goodbye to everyone. He dives into his Ruri character while feeling pitiful for Kinoshita about not being able to walk her back. Runa still has a mean look on her face. She blatantly admits that she does not like Kinoshita. Hoo-hoo! She even calls her a female dog. Yeah, that's what we've been reduced to. YouTube has us at gunpoint. But yeah, frick Runa. Kamota's the one she's talking to, so being a man of older times, it's shocking for him to hear a young lady speak like that. Her hatred is mostly because she doesn't want someone else to be inside the group. They've been happy as they were, so in her thoughts, Kinoshita's addition is just not necessary. Of course, Yamada and Kinoshita are returning together, mostly because she asked them to. Although they're there, both of them remain quiet since there's nothing to talk about. She tries to make some small talk, asking about what guild members usually do. I want to know about his interactions with Eita too. Does he pull out the Ruri character for poor Yamada? Yamada gives straight, cold yes or no answers to all of her questions. She had like 20 questions that could stir up a lengthy conversation, but it ends in less than a freaking minute. She notices everyone staring at her, which makes her wonder if she's looking funny. Only after switching places with Yamada, she notices that the girls are staring at him. She can't blame them either, because even she was taken aback by his looks the first time she saw him. They grab some food before they head out, and she notices he has some unhealthy eating habits. Relatable. The man doesn't eat outside, and he cannot cook either, so it's mostly junk. She wonders if his parents didn't object to such a lifestyle. She asks him to wait for 15 minutes and goes off running. And when she returns, she has 2 big bags full of cooked food. Did she just have pity on this guy? He doesn't feel too good about taking all that, but she wants him to have it. I mean, I guess the man was about to eat pudding for dinner. She gets a call from Runa, who starts to apologize for her rude behavior. She does mention that Eita was the one who made her do it, so it's still not out of good conscience. They even make plans to hang out next weekend. Eita must have done some wizardry for this to happen.